developed from. Remember, we talked about that in the energy metabolism, how we convert the carbohydrates through the glycolysis process into energy, how we convert the proteins through either ketogenesis or glucogenesis into ATP, how we convert the fats and the free fatty acids into ATP. So all of these things are going to be used for energy in our body. Now, a lot of the function we look at protein, it's for synthesis and repair of cells, tissues, and other structures. That's the main reason. For muscle, for ligaments, for tendons, for cellular structure. It is there to help as far as repair those things, but can also be used as energy. All right? Now, protein breaks down. When we break protein down, we break it down into amino acids. We've identified 20 amino acids in the body, 9 of which are considered essential, 11 are considered non-essential. Now just take a guess between the essential and non-essential, what that means.
So some of them need to come from like food. Right?
Yeah. The essential ones we have to get from food. The non-essential ones the body produces. Okay? So those 9 essential amino acids we have to get from food. We need them. They come from animal sources predominantly. So eating steak, eating chicken, eating fish, okay? All of that is going to give you those, dairy products. It's going to give you those essential amino acids. But what if I'm a vegan or a vegetarian? How do I get protein? How do I get those essential amino acids? That's the big question for them. Now, there's a couple different ways. They can get them by combining foods, so like combining green peas and yellow rice. Those together have all of the 9 essential amino acids. The green peas have a few, the yellow rice has the ones the green peas don't, okay, and vice versa. So those 2 foods together give you all the complete amino acids. There are also 3 plant sources that are classified as a complete protein. A complete protein means it has all the amino acids. Those 3 plant sources are soy, quinoa, and hemp. Okay? Now soy, tofu comes from soy. This is why vegetarians use tofu in a lot of dishes, is to get that protein. Quinoa, again, is a complete protein, so they use that instead of rice in a lot of dishes. And hemp has become somewhat one of those things kind of up on the rise. You're seeing a lot of hemp products now, but hemp milk is one of the big ones out there that people utilize. Fasting, I'm going to argue with them all day long on this fact. Okay? They're getting a massive amount of protein all at once instead of spreading it out over the course of the day. Now, because they're eating one meal, it works for some people as far as staying lean, but it's not good for building muscle and energy. It's just not. Okay? The body doesn't work this way. All right. Now, carbohydrates, 4 calories per gram. Carbohydrates are broken up between simple sugars and complex sugars. Simple sugars are mono and disaccharides. Complex sugars are polysaccharides. So starch, glycogen, and fiber, those are polysaccharides. Now the simple sugars then get broken down further, but here's the biggest thing to understand with simple sugars. First of all, you can identify it because it ends in OSE. Glucose, fructose, galactose, sucrose, maltose, lactose. They all end in OSE. They are a simple sugar. A simple sugar gets into your system quickly, elevates your blood sugar level quickly, and we're going to burn it quickly. A complex sugar elevates your blood sugar slower. It takes longer to get into your system. It takes longer for us to be able to utilize it. And a lot of that is going to be stored in the liver and converted into glycogen, which is the storage form of carbohydrates. Okay? Glycogen is the storage form of carbohydrates in humans and animals. Now, while we're on sugars, I want to talk to you about my number one pet peeve when it comes to diet. High fructose corn syrup. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's why high fructose corn syrup is bad. And it is probably, in my opinion, and a lot of others out there, the biggest contributor to the obesity epidemic in our children. When you ingest high fructose corn syrup, because it's a artificial type deal that gets added into the foods, it goes in the body. Now remember back in our energy cycle, that citric acid cycle. That high fructose corn syrup comes up on that, and it's like, no, not going there. I'm going to go around that. I'm going to detour around that. Okay? And it goes right around the citric acid cycle. Goes into your bloodstream, elevates your blood sugar, because you're not using it for energy, it gets stored as glycogen and later becomes fat in the body. Now here's the kicker. Because it bypasses the citric acid cycle, the brain does not recognize it as a calorie. So the brain is basically saying, I'm still hungry. I got nothing. Even though you took in 1,000 calories of high fructose corn syrup, the brain is saying, no, I got nothing. Feed me, feed me. So then you eat more. And you eat more and you eat more until you've satisfied those calories going through the citric acid cycle. But we still aren't accounting for all those calories that are bypassing it, which is that high fructose corn syrup. So our kids are eating foods high in high fructose corn syrup. Go to the store, read the labels. You'll see how much food has that crap in it. Now, a lot of foods now are putting on the label, no high fructose corn syrup, because it's gotten this bad rep, okay, this bad rap. And corn syrup, if it has it in there, I do not buy it. Period, end of story. It goes back on the shelf. Somebody else can kill themselves with it. I'm not going to. Okay, now, when we talk about complex, and here's another part that's real important to understand. Fiber. Fiber is not digestible. It's not digestible. Not used for energy. It will help motility, so it'll help our food flow through our body and keep us from being constipated. Or soluble fiber will actually create a good gut bacteria, that healthy gut bacteria that we want. And so, but because it is not used for energy, it's still a calorie. It's still counted as a calorie, as a food calorie, but you're not using it for energy. So it isn't a calorie as far as the body really goes. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so you see these foods now that talk about net carbs. You know, this food only has 1 net carb per serving. Look at the package. It'll have maybe 12 grams of carbohydrates per serving with 11 grams of fiber per serving. So you take the total carbs, subtract out the fiber, and that gives you your net carbohydrates. This is why a lot of people switch to these keto and low carb diets, because they're getting the sensation, which fiber does, man. Fiber gives you a feeling of being full. It makes you feel full. It makes you satisfied without the calories. Okay, let's go on this one down to the bottom of this where it talks about carbohydrates before, during, and after exercise. Okay? So before exercise, we want to make sure that we've eaten enough, and usually about 3 hours before, we've eaten enough to have plenty of energy for the activity coming up. We have some that's stored in the liver, and we have glucose that's flowing through the bloodstream. During the activity, if the activity lasts more than an hour, you want to take in additional carbohydrates in the form of like, they've got the glucose tablets or the glucose gel packs that you can buy, like a lot of runners use those, and those give you that shot of glucose, okay? Or sport drinks do the same thing. They help keep your glucose levels elevated during that longer activity. If you're only working out an hour, you should have plenty if you've eaten well beforehand. Now, after exercise, it's important to make sure that you take in carbohydrates and protein both for rebuilding the tissue, re-establishing your energy levels, and make sure you have that optimum balance for muscle synthesis, okay? Now we're going to get into lipids. So lipids are fats, okay, and oils. Fats and oils. A fat is solid at room temperature, and oil is going to be liquid at room temperature. All right? Fat is solid and oil is liquid. Now, you've heard of triglycerides, right?
Right.
Okay, so your triglycerides are going to be your saturated, monosaturated, and polyunsaturated fats. Your saturated fats are typically going to be animal fats. They're going to come from those forms, okay? Now I want you to look at this, and I didn't tie it into the, there's actually two tables I want you to look at that I didn't tie into the outline on page 270 and 271.
All right, yeah, man.
Okay, so the three types of fats, again, are triglycerides, phospholipids, and sterols. Remember that. Triglycerides, phospholipids, and sterols. Now look on page 271, and it breaks down the types of fats. It breaks down the monosaturated. It breaks down the polyunsaturated, which are omega-3, and then the omega-6. Talks about the saturated fats and the trans fats, okay? Now what's important, a couple things that's important here is you see these three omega-3s, the EPA, the DHA, and the ALA, okay? You're going to have a question on that on the test, so just remember that those are the three omega-3s, the three polyunsaturated omega-3s. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatories. They help reduce inflammation in our body. Now also at the top, and I just want you to kind of look at this and read this, at the top of that page, it says stretch your knowledge, and there's a box that talks about saturated fats. Saturated fats have always had a bad reputation. Oh, don't eat butter. Don't cook with lard. Don't cook with beef tallow. Okay? Saturated fat, naked fat, no. Okay? Well, there's a lot of research now that's leading more and more toward the fact that these actually are good fats, and they are not fats that create any issues with cholesterol. Cholesterol really is in the body. Cholesterol elevates due to sugar, believe it or not. That is the biggest contributor to sugar. And when our cholesterol elevates, the doctors give us statin drugs. Statin drugs lead to diabetes. So this whole thing, do some research on this. This is important as you get older and as you have clients. Talk to them, encourage them to research all of this connection, okay? Before they look at getting on statins. Statins aren't the best drug out there, okay? And I'll tell you, I had a pharmacist that I trained before, and I asked him. I said, "What about how do you feel about the side effects of drugs? And he just looked at me and he says, man, bad news. It's bad news. I just do what the doctors order. So he's kind of at the mercy of the doctors to give out this medicine that he knows is really not that good in a lot of situations. But he can't counteract the doctor. He can't say, no, you should be taking that. I don't know why your doctor gave you that, you know? And he can't come up and say, well, here, take this instead. You have to go by the doctor's orders. So people need to do research on this stuff. It's very, very important, okay? Let's go back to our fat. So omega-3, again, is an anti-inflammatory. Now, omega-6, which comes from vegetable oils, nuts, and seeds, is a pro-inflammatory. It creates inflammation. When we have inflammation in the body, we have plaque that is deposited in our arteries, causing our blood pressure to go up and leading to cardiovascular disease. Sugar creates inflammation. Sugar is a huge contributor to all of that. We've seen that the rise in the use of sugar correlates with the rise in cardiovascular disease. So again, one of those things we got to really, really think about when it comes to our diets. We should have, though, 20 to 35% fats in our diet. Fats are used when we do low-intensity exercise. Remember, again, to go back to that energy system chapter, and we talked about when you're doing low intensity, you burn 70% fat, 30% carbohydrates. So you're burning a higher amount of fat. You need it. You need it while you sleep. So going on a low-fat diet is not good either. But having a moderate amount of fats in our diet is fine. Now, I've had a lot of clients over the years that I have them set up an account on MyFitnessPal, and I monitor their nutrition. And most of them in the beginning are like 50% or more fat in their diet. It's 4, protein 4, fats 9 calories per gram. Okay?
All right.
Now, micronutrients. Micronutrients are the vitamins, the minerals, and I want you to look at this because I missed this, and it's popped up a number of times on the. I want to see where it's at. But it's phytonutrients is what it is. And you will see that on the test, but I have yet to find it mentioned in the book, which surprises me. So just remember the micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients. That's PHYTO nutrients, okay? Phytonutrients. Now, I'm sorry, we started on that, but I didn't finish. So you have fat-soluble vitamins, you have water-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble, A, D, E, and K, there's 4 of them. We're going to go more in detail on those in the supplementation chapter. Water-soluble are C and the group of B vitamins. Now, fat-soluble means that they're processed through our fat. They can become toxic because they can store in fatty tissue. Water-soluble means they're processed through the fluid of our body. Well, we know when we urinate, we have fluid excreting our body, and if you're taking a lot of vitamins, that urine is really strong, glowing type yellow, okay? You know, we used to call it the most expensive piss in the world, okay? Because you're just peeing out all your vitamins. Well, I'd rather have more and have that happen than not enough, okay? That's especially when they don't create a toxicity in the body like the A, D, and K could. Minerals are broken down into major minerals and trace minerals, and again, we'll go more into detail. But major minerals are in larger amounts in the body. Trace minerals are smaller amounts in the body. Okay? Now we're going to talk about hydration. And with hydration, NASM, and here's all the things that the proper hydration does for you. It regulates body temperature, transports nutrients, maintains blood volumes, lubricates joints, shock absorption, removal of waste and toxins. All right. NASM says that men should drink 124 ounces a day. Women should drink 92 ounces a day. So if that's on a test question, answer it just like that. Okay? That's what NASM is recommending. Here's where I disagree with NASM. Think about this. You've got a 92-pound jockey, and you got a 430-pound strongman like Brian Shaw. Do they both need to drink the same amount of water per day?
No.
No. That jockey is going to need a lot less water than that strongman. That strongman's going to need a ton more water. Okay? There's more blood volume, there's more body mass, there's more things going on in his body. Okay? So, what I recommend, personally, I recommend 1 ounce per kilogram of body weight. That makes more sense. That takes into account the weight of the person and the mass of that person. So you can do that if you want. You can stick with this as far as what NASM recommends, however you want to do it. Okay, but that's where the logic in what I do comes into play, and it's something that I had learned a number of years ago. Okay, so it's not like I just came up with that number. All right. It's something that I'd read in another article, and it made sense to me. So that's why I tell my clients that. Remember, if you have more than a 4% loss of body weight, so you've lost more than 4% of your body weight during exercise, it can lead to heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So especially working out in a hot, humid environment, athletes working in a hot, humid environment, you got to make sure they stay hydrated. All right, we're going to get into supplements now. Nope, not yet, almost. So nutrition strategies to help with weight management. So things that affect our weight is the law of thermodynamics, which is that calories in, calories out. Poor sleep affects our weight.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay. So women especially, I mean men are subject to this as well, but I find it more in women. Their whole life they've been told, eat less to lose weight. Eat less to lose weight. Eat less to lose weight. It's like a broken record. Over and over and over and over again. And so they eat less, they eat less, they eat less. And yeah, they lose some weight, but not getting where they want to be, so they keep eating less, and then they start gaining weight. And now they're just like totally not sure what's going on, so then they even eat less. They put themselves in starvation mode. This is where the body, this is adaptive thermogenesis. It's starvation mode, adaptive thermogenesis. It's where the body adapts the thermoregulation of the calories being utilized. So it will slow your metabolic rate down. It will store more of the food as fat, which is a more efficient source of energy. You will have less energy. You will feel lethargic. You will want to sleep all the time. And you can't lose weight. Now, what we know is that about 1,200 calories per day is that magic number. Stay above 1,200 calories, and you don't go into adaptive thermogenesis or starvation mode. You go below 1,200 calories, you're probably going to be in starvation mode. Over the years, of all the women that I've worked with that wanted to lose weight, I would say easily 80% of them were in starvation mode when I started with them. Now, here's the thing. How do you get them out of it? Okay? Well, the first thing is you're going to tell them they got to eat more. And they're going to look at you like you're crazy. I know. Everybody tells me, eat less, lose weight, eat less, lose weight, eat less, lose weight. No, you got to eat more. You have to explain to them why. You have to explain to them that their body is in starvation mode. The body's defense mechanisms have kicked in. They've shut down their metabolism. They're not allowing them to have much energy. They're storing more of those calories as fat. And if they eat more, then their metabolism kicks back in. They're going to start burning calories. Okay, so now they buy into this process. And they start eating more, like you said. A week goes by, and they've gained 3 pounds. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to go off the deep end. They're going to freak out. So again, you have to tell them in the beginning that once you start eating more, it's going to take a few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, for your body to adapt back to normal. So you will gain some weight over the period of that time, but you have to believe in what I'm telling you. I know it's the science. This is what it is. And then you will start losing weight. And sure enough, those women that stuck through it with me, the weight fell off them once they got up there. Absolutely fell off them. They couldn't believe how quickly they lost the weight after that. Because their metabolisms kicked back, and they were like, oh my God, I've got so much energy now. Duh. Okay? So, very, very important that you understand that, and maybe do a little additional research on it. You see the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know, my biggest thing with food labels, first thing I do is look at ingredients. I don't want to have bad ingredients in my food. So again, if it contains high fructose corn syrup, I'm not eating it. Period. I'm not eating it. All right. Now let's look at if we want to lose fat. Okay. So actually working at losing fat, there's 2 things that you do. You modify the energy intake. So the calories in, we modify. Again, you need to keep them above 1,200 calories a day, but we want to cut back on those calories, and we want to increase the nutritional value of those calories. So they're really loaded with the vitamins and the minerals and the phytonutrients and all of those good things we're looking for out of food. And by the way, phytonutrients are the different colors that come with your fruits and vegetables. You should try to have a different color of fruit and vegetable every day. 7 days a week. Okay? And we have enough colors that you can do that. Because there's green, and there's red, and there's orange, and there's purple, and there's yellow, and then you have white, and you have brown. So those different colors relate to different types of nutrients that you get from those colors. So focus on that. Really challenge yourself to have those different colors. You know, you can even make a game of it and say, okay, on Monday is going to be my orange day. And then Tuesday is going to be my green day. Okay, however you want to do it, right? You know, but you can feasibly do that. Okay? Then we also want to increase energy expenditure. So this goes back to that eat and neat. So we want to exercise more, exercise activity thermogenesis, eat, and we want to do more activity, like I was talking about, parking farther away when you go to the store, taking stairs instead of an elevator. Those types of things are going to be classified in that NEAT category, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Okay? You know, wash your car by hand instead of taking it to a car wash. There's a good one. I just thought of that. You know, never have thought of that one before, but that would be a good one. Okay? A higher protein intake, because protein does burn more calories. It's got a higher thermic effect, slightly. So does it help? Yeah. Is it a big contributor? Probably not. Okay? Now to gain muscle, again, you want to have 1.6 to 2.2 kilograms per gram, or grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, remember the chart earlier said 1.4 to 2. So there's a little confusion in what they say in the book, but 1.6 appears to be optimal. So that would fall in either one of those categories. So if you talk to people about that and say, here's the range, but they say that 1.6 is optimal. 20 to 40 grams per meal, spread out every 3 to 5 hours. Carbohydrate intake should be 4 to 7 grams per kilogram of body weight. So there, I'm telling you, you can't just live on protein if you're trying to build muscle. You gotta take in carbs. Fat should be 20 to 35%. Okay? Yeah, let's get into supplements, see if we can get through this chapter. Beauty, overall wellness. Ergogenic aids are those that are used to enhance performance. Okay? Now, and I'm not talking about anabolic steroids. I'm talking about things like creatine, HMB, there's protein supplementation, all of these types of things. Supplements, however, are not regulated by the FDA, by the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. However, they do have to follow labeling guidelines of the FDA. Where food is regulated, the government's going to come in and say, hey, you need to have all the information on that food, all the ingredients, all of this, okay? You don't necessarily need to have all these specific things on supplements. Know that the tolerable upper limit, abbreviated as UL, is where if you take in more than that, it may have adverse effects. It may have, okay? We don't want to trust all supplements unconditionally. So, especially athletes, don't just take it because you think, oh, that's protein, that's good for me. Well, that's a lot of protein powders out there might have stuff in them that will cause you to test positive on a drug test. So it's very important. We're going to talk about that third-party verification here a little bit later. Now, so the labeling guidelines state you need to have the name of the supplement, the quantity, the ingredients, any nutritional value that it might have. So if it has carbohydrates, fats, or proteins in it, you want to have that. Name and place of the business. One of the things you'll see is proprietary ingredients, okay? Now, that's not an area where they will hide things that aren't good for you, but they could, okay? So just because it says proprietary ingredients doesn't mean it's bad, but I'm not going to take the chance. If it says proprietary ingredients, I'm not using it, okay? Allergens. These are the 8 allergens you need to know. You will be questioned on that. Peanuts, tree nuts, soy, egg, dairy, wheat, fish, and shellfish. So anything that has those in it or is manufactured in a plant that manufactures one of those has to be listed on the label. Okay, I'm sure you've seen that before. Well, if you look at the labels, manufactured in a plant that also produces peanuts and tree nuts. Okay. Now again, your fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Remember I said we're going to go into these a little bit more detail. So A is referred to as beta-carotene. D is called the sunshine vitamin because D is what we get from the sun. People need the sun. You got to get out in the sun, okay? That's how we get vitamin D. You can take it as a supplement, and probably important to take it as a supplement, especially in climates that have long winters where you're indoors for a long period of time. But you got to get the sun. So if the sun's out there and available, man, go soak some of it up. It'll give you that vitamin D. Vitamin D is really, really good for a number of things, but we typically tie it into the immune system more than not. Vitamin E is an antioxidant and may reduce inflammation. Vitamin K increases bone protein and improves the strength of bones. It also is a coagulant. It makes your blood clot. So if a person is on blood thinners, such as warfarin, an anticoagulant, you don't want to be taking vitamin K with it. Those are going to offset each other, okay? It's going to have adverse side effects. That's one good example of understanding how your supplements and how your medications work together. So it's important to consult physicians. Now this segment here, I talk about I have them all listed and a little bit about most of them. But the bigger things are the ones that are highlighted in yellow, okay? So first of all, water soluble are the B complex and C. C is collagen synthesis and antioxidant. Collagen synthesis and antioxidant. And that's the only water soluble vitamin I've really seen much about, other than remember that B complex is always going to be good for energy. B complex are good for energy. And how many B vitamins do we have? First thing that comes in our mind is 12, because we know there's a B12, right? But there's not 12. Okay, you have 1, 2, 3. There's not a 4. You have 5, 6, 7. There is not an 8. There's a 9, but not 10 or 11. Okay? So 4, 8, 10, 11. We don't have those. There's only 8 B vitamins. You'll see that again as a question. And I'm telling you, students miss that one all the time. They put it on there, I think, purposely to get you to miss a question. Because most of us, again, go to that B12. Oh, 12 up, click. Okay, because 12 is one of the answers they give you. Okay, it's real easy to hit that, move on, and get it wrong. All right, macro minerals. Calcium is listed as a macro mineral. It's for bone health and muscle contraction. Trace minerals. So the trace mineral they talk about is iodine. Okay? Now, iodine is very important because iodine is what we find in regular table salt. And iodine helps regulate the thyroid. In our world today, we have a lot more thyroid issues, and people having problems with their thyroid because they're using what I call designer salts. The Himalayan pink salt. You have the black sea salt. You have the Celtic salt. You have just regular sea salt. Okay, there's all kinds of those out there. They are not iodized. That old Morton's iodized table salt, we should use from time to time to get the iodine we need in our body. Okay? Now with iron comes in either the Heme or the non-Heme form. It helps carry hemoglobin in the blood, which increases the body's capacity to carry oxygen to the cells. Heme iron is found in animal foods, non-Heme in plant foods. Heme is the best source. It's more concentrated. Okay? So this again is why we want to eat those animal foods if at all possible. Vegan, vegetarian, they're going to struggle here as well. Okay, so with them, taking an iron supplement is probably an important thing. We already talked a little about the omega-3, omega-6. Omega-3 is an anti-inflammatory. Omega-6 is a pro-inflammatory. The ratio in our body should be about 1.1 to 4. So 1 part omega-3, 4 parts omega-6. Okay? Our diets today, as a Western culture, is about 1 to 12. So we have almost 3 times as much inflammatory processes going on in our bodies than we do the anti-inflammatory. Now, this is why people take omega-3. Why they take those fish oil. They want to give that up. They want to close that gap. You can't do that. You got to bring the omega-6 down to meet the omega-3. And the way we get rid of that omega-6 is by not eating fried foods, deep fried foods. They are fried in seed oils, canola oil, safflower seed, okay? Your vegetable oils made from seeds, cottonseed oil. All of these things are fried foods. They're not good oils because they have a high level of omega-6. Again, contributes to heart disease. This again is why we have high blood pressure, we have overweight, we have heart disease, we have all of these things happening in our kids today that never used to happen. Again, I will not eat any food in a restaurant that is deep fried. I just don't do it. Because it is fried in bad oil. I guarantee you it is fried in bad oil. Even good restaurants, you look at the top chefs in the world, they're still using bad oil to fry food. So stay away from deep fried foods. All right, a few other things here we'll hit, and then we'll be finished. I know we started a little bit late, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this chapter with us. So that's not a problem. Protein. Protein again is composed of amino acids. 11 non-essential are really good for recovery after exercise. I take an essential amino acid supplement in the morning, first thing when I get up. Half an hour later, and I take it on an empty stomach. Okay, I don't drink coffee. I don't do anything until I've had that in my system for half an hour. Then I have my protein drink, because I've now got those amino acids in my body ready to grab that protein that I just put in and help turn it into muscle. And that works. It works that way. After my workouts, I take my branched chain amino acids, because I want those to help recover from that intense workout that I did. You have two types of protein, concentrates and isolates. You'll always have people ask you, well, what's the difference? An isolate is a higher concentration of protein. It's also usually more assimilable, so the body is going to ingest it and digest it and put it into the system a lot easier than that concentrate. 40 grams per meal, no more. If you go over 40, you're going to be storing it as fat. Spread those meals out 3 to 5 hours over the course of the day. Now, creatine. Creatine is a supplement that's been around a long time. I remember when it first came out, I was totally against it, only because I just hadn't seen enough research on it to really believe in it, okay? And over time, I realized that it was good, and the research was there, and I started taking it. I've been taking creatine probably 20 years easily, and I take it daily. Okay, even on days I don't work out, because I want to maintain that creatine level in my body, which then is going to be used in that creatine phosphate cycle for ATP production. So I want that maximized, so I can have the maximum amount of strength, the maximum amount of power I need for my workouts. Caffeine does help. One of the things that they talk about with caffeine is it can help in fat metabolism, reduces fatigue, increases endurance. 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram prior to exercise. Okay? Third-party verifications. This one's important. So, if you're working with an athlete, there are 3 of those on the list you see that that screen for quality and banned substances. So informed choice, NSF for sport, or BSCG. If the supplement says on it approved by informed choice or approved by NSF for sport, and they've got their little stamp on that supplement, you can rest assured it's clean. It's not going to have bad stuff in it for that athlete. They stake their reputations on it. These companies do. They test these. They make sure that the product is good. And the companies want them to, because they want the athletes to buy it. They want to be able to market it that way. Say, hey, this has been approved by NSF for sport. It's clean. So an athlete will use it. coaches will recommend it. Okay. There's a banned substance, a table talking about. Let's see. Go to page 333. And this talks about the side effects of anabolic steroids. Just kind of review that table a little bit, okay? And then also remember that two other banned substances are DMAA. Don't ask me what that stands for because I can't pronounce that, if my life depended on it, and ephedrine, okay? These are going to be types of stimulants. And so they're going to be banned in sports. Now, just because they're banned in sports doesn't mean they're illegal. You know, some things are illegal to take, illegal to sell, illegal to have, okay? Others are not. But if it's banned in sports, I'm not going to use it. There's a reason why they ban it, okay? It's just not good. Just not a good way to go. Okay? All right. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay, so that finishes section 3. So again,